We are spilling the tea on all things Triptii Dimri, old boyfriends, new boyfriends, frenemies, co-stars, the works. Let's get into it.
Listen up, it's jazz.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Hot Chai Pod, a podcast where we serve all of that sizzling Bollywood tea. I'm your host, Jazz, and today we are in a Triptii Dimri themed episode, and not on purpose. It's kind of random, and it's not really just about her, but she is kind of the connector to all of the tea that we have today, including a very spicy chai from one of our teacups that was submitted actually a couple months ago, and I've been sitting on it. So now's the perfect time. And it is quite the coincidence that we're talking about Triptii Dimri because I just watched Animal for the second time last weekend. Fresh eyes, wanted to see it again, wanted to experience it again. I still very much enjoyed it, and I still very much found it a little problematic. You guys can go back to my old episode on that. So coming into this episode, Triptii's movie Dhadak 2 with Siddhant Chautervedi as the hero, sequel to Dhadak 1, has been kind of probably phasing out now at the box office. I think it ended up with about 20 crores as its total box office collection for 2 weeks. Not amazing. I think it is declared a flop, and it does bring up questions, because I saw mixed reviews on it. I didn't get a chance to see it because it was quite the limited release. I mean, it was not playing at the theater near me in LA, which was still playing Sayara. I guess the hype is still kind of happening there. So maybe that's what was happening in India as well. The reviews that I did see, including Haroon Rashid's from the BBC, were actually praising the film and saying that it was poignant and it was well done. So I'm definitely going to watch it when it comes to streaming. Again, kind of disappointed I didn't get to watch it. It looks like it's dealing with some very serious issues in the film around cast. And because the film didn't really perform well, I know Triptii has a lot of other projects kind of lined up, but I do wonder what this means for Siddhant Chautervedi, who I do think has been struggling to find his footing as a hero. He did have Koge Hum Kahan, which was, straight to Netflix, but people enjoyed. But I do think some of his other films have not really worked with the audience. And you do wonder, does he have box office appeal, or is he kind of meant more for streaming? Even though I personally do like him and I kind of enjoy his off-screen antics and persona. I'm curious to see if he keeps signing any movies, if he starts to play kind of a second hero role. Siddhant Chautervedi is an outsider, so, I know people like to root for him. I like to root for him, but if you can't bring it in the box office, I'm not super sure. But I did see some casting news around Triptii for a movie called Romeo with Shahid Kapoor, and just added to the cast Avinash Tiwary. Now, if you don't know him, he actually debuted in Laila Majnu with Triptii back in 2018, and then they went on to do this indie horror flick called Bulbul thereafter, which people like. His journey has been a little bit more scattered, shall we say. And yeah, recently actually I did do a review on The Mehta Boys, his film on Prime with Bomani Rani, which if you haven't, you should watch it because it was actually a really lovely film. But what do we know about this Avinash Tiwary besides the fact that he's good looking? So one of the teacups wrote in a couple months ago, and obviously everything's anonymous. You guys can always DM me or write into hotchaipod@gmail.com. And they had some tea to spill on Avinash, among a few others. And they have known him personally in the past. And let me say that the tea was not painting a very pretty picture of him. I mean, you can imagine, right? Struggling actor, outsider. This man has obviously been struggling for a long time. I think he struggled for 15 years to get Laila Majnu. And then it's been 7 years since that, right? So he's been in a few movies, but he hasn't become like a mainstream A-list actor, obviously. So the tea was kind of on his earlier journey. How should I describe this? A little bit of lady killer vibes. He's been like hung up on some ex who got married, and he likes to act like it's like a tragic love story. And he kind of has commitment issues. Says he's 40, might be in his mid-40s, according to my source, and he obviously single, which is fine, no judgment here. Looks like he ended up dating Triptii when they were filming Laila Majnu. And it looks like they dated for a bit, and maybe it became a little bit toxic. And it sounds like, allegedly, there were some trust issues from Triptii to him, and maybe like going through the phone and what's going on. I'm not going to blame her for that. And you teacups know that I already support all that behavior. Again, alleged. Everything in here is rumor and alleged. But apparently they broke up, and then Triptii goes on to become this big star after Animal, right? She kind of blows up. Avinash is left kind of trying to pick up the pieces, obviously gets very jealous. And this, I didn't need the email for. I saw firsthand all of the press coming out, like all these old clips of them with Layla Majnu. And then obviously Layla Majnu was re-released. And I guess a lot of that was Avinash's kind of efforts to get it re-released, get some more relevance now that Tripti's name is in the limelight. And in fairness, it was a pretty successful re-release of the film because I think in its initial run, it did like less than 4 crores at the box office. And then upon re-release, I think it got up to about 12. So her kind of newfound fame definitely kind of helped the case. But I mean, did it really help Avinash, since Animals released? And look, if Triptii has agreed to work with him in this upcoming film, then there probably isn't that bad of blood and she's definitely moved on. As a reminder, she is dating this randomly hot guy. His name's Sam Merchant. You can look him up. And there was some drama there. So if you guys recall, a few months back, Triptii got dropped from Anurag Basu's film Ashiki 3, but now it's not Ashiki 3 because of the rights, so it's something else. But it was starring Kartik Aaryan and Triptii initially. And they starred in Bhul Bhulaiyaa 3 together, which ended up being kind of weird with the promotions, and people were like, is there some fallout? Are the directors mad at Triptii? Is something going on? So it didn't really seem clear what was happening, and then all of a sudden, Triptii is dropped from this movie with Kartik, and there's all sorts of nasty PR about her, like she wasn't pure enough for the role, that's why she got dropped. Actually, I'm pretty sure Anurag Basu's team responded being like, no, that didn't happen, that wasn't real. And this is a refresh because we have talked about this here, so there were kind of a few camps, which, some people obviously believed oh, maybe she wasn't innocent enough as a heroine after Animal and Bad News. I didn't super buy it, but if I did buy it, I found that pretty gross. The other half or quarter of people were like, there was obviously some bad blood between Kartik and Triptii, and that is why promotions were weird for Bhul Bhulaiyaa 3, and that is why she has been dropped. There wasn't a lot of evidence either way for me to know what to believe, and so I kind of stayed neutral on that. I did see on Reddit here and there, I would see articles saying that Kartik had been hitting on Triptii during Bhul Bhulaiyaa 3. She wasn't into it because she had a boyfriend, she was annoyed, and so therefore they had bad blood, and Kartik was able to kick her out of this film. I still have been seeing that even after this initial drama kind of went down. Now, there's this meme that's randomly posted, right? And it's showing Kartik's avatar from the film. And by the way, they recast Sri Lala in place of Triptii as the main actress. And so there's this meme, and it's basically saying oh, Kartik's done all this promotion in this bearded beggar look, and Sayara is, ahead of the game, stealing the show. Innocuous, whatever. But what stood out to me and many other people is that Triptii's boyfriend put a bunch of laughing emojis. It was kind of this is pointed, and now if you go there, it's deleted. But then it did make me think, for Triptii's boyfriend to be liking this anti-Kartik post, there must be something, because that is taking a little bit of a statement, and it is now deleted. So what do you guys think? Do you think something went down between Kartik and Triptii? What do you think it was? Do you believe the rumor that maybe he was trying to hit on her, she wasn't into it, and so that's what happened? Sometimes the simplest answer is the right answer. For our teacup time today, I'd be remiss not to put in one of Triptii's looks where she is in this black lace kind of slit gown, and I asked you guys if you thought it looked good or if you thought it looked tacky. Most of you thought it looked tacky, unfortunately. I actually thought it photographed pretty well because she put up some photo shoot stuff after. So that's what I thought, but the teacups have made their voices clear. It's my opinion! If you're not following at Hot Chai Pod on Instagram to participate in these polls and see your answers here. So our final fashion recap is around the Param Sundari promotion tour, which is Janhvi Kapoor, Siddhant Malhotra. And I'm not really sure what's going to happen with this movie because I don't know, Sid, so good looking, but the chemistry between them, I don't know if it's really there, and it seems like you guys also agree on that. And during these promotions, they also seem a little out of sync. I posted this look of her in this kind of mermaidy sari, which I actually kind of liked because I'm a tacky NRI, but you guys did say 70% to mermaid, but I want to draw attention to what is Sid wearing? Why is he dressed so casual, like he's just going out for lunch, and she's dressed to the nines? And there's been more and more of that. They've been going to temples, they've been doing all sorts of stuff for this promotion. I'm not really sure if that's part of the theme for the movie, but it does look a little mismatched. I don't know. Are you guys gonna watch it? Let me know in the comments. And also, feel free to like this episode if you haven't, share it with your friends. and I will be back next week. Bye!
Listen up, it's jazz.